Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Afternoon/evening. Welcome to Zoom Shakespeare's production. A very queer cabaret celebrating Pride Month. We have an amazing collection of pieces from some of your favorite actors who you've seen in the last 18 months. We hope you enjoy a very queer cabaret. Thank you.
Good evening. So this first scene involves myself and Kealan. We originally performed this with the 60-Hour Shakespeare Company back at the beginning of May. So this is from their production of Twelfth Night, which involves the characters of Antonio and Sebastian from Act 2, Scene 1.
Will you stay no longer? No, will you not, that I come with you?
By your patience, no. My stars shine darkly over me. The malignancy of my fate might perhaps distemper yours. Therefore, I shall crave of you your leave, that I may bear my evils alone. It were a bad recompense for your love to lay any of them on you.
Let me yet know of whither you're bound.
No, sooth, sir. My determinate voyage is mere extravagancy, but I perceive in you so excellent a touch of modesty that you will not extort from me what I am willing to keep in. Therefore, it charges me in manners the rather to express myself. You must know of me then, Antonio. My name is Sebastian, which I called Roderigo. My father was that Sebastian of Messaline, whom I know you've heard of. He left behind him myself and a sister, both born in an hour. Now, if the heavens had been pleased, would we had so ended. But you, sir, altered that, for some hour before you took me from the breach of the sea was my sister drowned.
Alas, the day.
A lady, sir, though it was said she much resembled me, was yet of many accounted beautiful. But thus far will I boldly publish her. Now, she bore a mind that envy could not but call fair. She is drowned already, sir, with salt water, though I seem to drown her remembrance again with more.
Pardon me, sir. You're bad entertainment.
Oh, good Antonio, forgive me your trouble.
If you will not murder me for my love, let me be your servant.
If you will not undo what you have done, that is, kill him whom you have recovered, desire it not. Fare ye well at once. My bosom is full of kindness, and I am yet so near the manners of my mother, that upon the least occasion more, mine eyes will tell tales of me. I am bound to the Count Orsino's court. Farewell.
The gentleness of all the gods go with thee. I have many enemies in Orsino's court, else I would very shortly see thee there. But come what may, I do adore thee so. The danger shall seem sport, and I will go.
Ladies and gentlemen, my apologies. We will be posting Sarah Blake's piece from Virginia Woolf's Orlando later after the event.
I'm having some technical difficulties, sorry. Hello. I will be reading an extract from Five Clever Courtesans, which is by Sarah Blake, the multi-talented Sarah Blake. The good matrons of Venice were fascinated by me, appalled and enthralled in equal measure. Why wouldn't they be? Courtesans make a career out of opposition. We gratify in our various shapes and guises that ache for the contradictory, that desire for the other that lives in everyone. But that desire is often much more to do with power as it is with sex. And who could desire power more than the powerless? There I was, one of the few women in the Republic who could earn as she pleased, and own property as she pleased, and direct her spending as she pleased. None of them had that. They had husbands, titles, status, and consequence, yet not one of them had the authority to choose even the colour of her silk for her sleeves if her husband dictated otherwise. So I never had a female lover, not from choice, but simply because no woman commanded the independence of fortune required to purchase me for the night. It was a question of economics. But I remember one occasion, when I was alone in my patron's private studiolo, and I felt perhaps the closest thing I have ever experienced to personal longing. The apartment was small but sumptuously appointed, and on one wall hung a vast canvas of me by Tintorello. It depicted me as Venus, reclining naked on a divan and surrounded by cherubs. My lover liked me to recreate the pose on his bed, minus the cherubs. It aroused him, I think, to have both paint and flesh in the same room. Waiting for him to arrive, I heard footsteps, but they weren't the ones of the man I was expecting, so I hid quickly, unable to guess who it could be. The key turned in the lock, the door opened, and there was my patron's wife. She didn't know I was there, but she had heard rumours about the painting and risked everything to come and see it for herself. I shudder to think what would have happened to her if her husband had found her in that place. Yet there she stood, looking up at my picture, drinking it in with her eyes. Then she sighed, stroked the canvas. I didn't know what to do, so I did nothing. I lacked the courage to speak, and eventually she left, unaware that the Venus she had been revering had been in the room with her all the time. But in that moment, when she gazed my painted form, gazed with such earnestness, such amazement, and such yearning, I felt a stir of desire that, no matter how much I excelled at feigning it, was not my usual part of character. I don't know to this day if her yearning was for me or for the idea of me, whether she wanted to be with me or simply to be me. But my hesitancy, my fear for my own welfare, but also for hers, meant I never found out. And that is one of the few regrets of my life.
Hi, my name is Sara Denton. I will be doing a short monologue from Sarah Ruhl's Eurydice. Dear Eurydice, last night I dreamed we climbed Mount Olympus and we started to make love, and all the strands of your hair were little faucets and water was streaming out of your head, and I said, "Why is water coming out of your hair?" And you said, "Gravity is very compelling." And then we jumped off Mount Olympus and flew through the clouds, and you held your knee to your chest because you skinned it on a sharp cloud. And then we fell into a salty lake. Then I woke up, and the window frightened me. And I thought, Eurydice is dead. And then I thought, who is Eurydice? And then the whole room started to float, and I thought, what are people? And then my bedclothes smiled at me with a crooked green mouth, and I thought, who am I? It scares me, Eurydice. Please, come back. Love, Orpheus.
Again, ladies and gentlemen, I'll be doing a piece from Becca Brunstetter's The Cake. I used to cry after when he and I, because I didn't want to do it. And it made me wonder if up somehow in that category of life, which I kind of was. I mean, I am, or I was for a while, because my mom never discussed it with me. I mean, there's some kids whose parents tell them from an early age what sex is and what it's for and why it's special and why it's beautiful and sacred. And then there's the rest of us who are left drunk out of our minds, grabbing at each other's hoo-haws, doing it in the dark. When I was first trying to understand what it was, I was like 13. I used to think that you go to this place to have it, to do it, and you don't want to go, but you have to. You get sent to this place. And if you're a girl, they tie you to a table, like an operating table, not tie, bind. Metal handcuffs come up around your limbs and keep you there. And you're naked and cold and you don't want it, but you have to. And then there's this scientist person making sure you're strapped in tight. Then they leave the room, but they're watching. Window and the door like a dentist taking an x-ray. And you're laying there and the room goes dim. And there's a metal sound from above you. And this boy descends. He's strapped to the ceiling and the ceiling is coming down on top of you. He's being lowered on top of you and you're squirming and you don't want it, but you're stuck. And then the boy is on top of you and he's kissing you and he's touching you and you don't want it, but you can't do anything about it. And you don't like it, but you know you're supposed to because they're watching. And so you pretend. You pretend to like it. And you look to the window at the scientist, and that's when you realize or guess that it's not a scientist. It's God. And he winks at you, and it happens all over again. And that's how it felt for me for a long time. But then I met Macy, and it didn't feel like that anymore. It just felt right.
Hello, my name is Ilaria. I'm from Italy, and tonight I'm doing a scene from Hamlet, and specifically the rogue and peasant slave monologue. Now I'm alone. Oh, what a rogue and peasant slave am I! Is it not monstrous that this player here, but in a fiction, in a dream of passion, could force his soul so to his own conceit that from her working, all his visage waned, like tears in his eyes, distraction in his aspect, a broken voice, and all his function suiting with forms to his conceit, and all for nothing. Oh, poor Hecuba. What's Hecuba to him, or he to Hecuba, that he should weep for her? What would he do had he the motive and the cue for passion that I have? Oh, he would drown the stage in tears and cleave the general ear with horrid speech, make mad the guilty and uphold the free, confound the ignorant, and amaze indeed the very faculties of ears and eyes. Yet I, a dull and muddy mettled rascal, peak like Janet dreams, am pregnant of my cause and can say nothing. No, not for a king, upon whose property and most dear life a damned defeat was made. Am I coward? Who calls me villain? Huh? Breaks my pate across, plucks off my hair and blows it in my face, twists me by the nose and give me a line the truth as deep as to the lungs. Who does me this? Swoons, I should take it For it cannot be, but I am pigeon liver, and lack gall to make oppression bitter, or else I should have fatted all the region kites with this slave offal. Bloody, body villain, remorseless, lecherous, treacherous, kindless villain! Oh, vengeance! Why? What an ass am I? This is most brave, that I, the son of a dear father, murdered, prompted to my revenge by heaven and hell, must like a whore unpack my heart with words and fall like cursing like a very drab scallion. Sigh upon it. About my brain. I have heard that guilty creatures sitting at a play have by the very cunning of the scene been struck so to the soul that presently have proclaimed their malefactions, for murder, though it has no tongue, will speak with most miraculous organ. I'll have these players play something like the murder of my father before mine uncle. I'll observe his looks, I'll tempt him to the quick. If he but blanch, I know my course. The spirit that I have seen may be the devil. Yeah. For the devil hath power to assume a pleasing shape. Yeah, and perhaps out of my weakness and my melancholy, abuses me to damn me. I'll have grounds more relative than this. The place, the thing, wherein I'll catch the conscience of the king.
Hello, everyone. I'm going to be doing a monologue from Significant Other by Joshua Harmon. Happy Pride. So Kiki's jabbering on and Evan's oh my godding, and then Will steps out of the pool and it's like time just stops. He stands there for a second, pool water running down his body, and you can see he's trying to remember where he put his towel, but he can't remember. But for like 4 seconds, he's standing there totally still. And the only thing moving is the water. And like instantly my brain became a video recorder and like it hit record. And for 4 seconds, I just memorized everything. His shoulders are kind of narrow, but they're sweet and round at the top, almost like knees. He has an amazing neck, and the skin on his neck especially, especially when it's wet. It's just so soft and fresh. He has a little soft brown hair at the top of his chest covering his collarbone, a kind of light crop dusting that looks like if you blew on it, like a dandelion, it would fly off, kind of dance in the air for a second and then get carried away in the wind. His nails are red and hard, obviously, since he was just swimming. And some nipples gross me out, but Will's are... His biceps have just the lightest little hint of muscle. One single vein runs up to each arm in this beautiful line like a Miro painting. Not quite straight, but it draws your eyes immediately to the canvas. You can see his little ribs. You can just tell if you held him in your hands, he'd be sturdy, but also feeling those ribs protruding, you'd know that this was something precious that deserved to be treated with tenderness. His belly button is this totally adorable little innie, and he doesn't have a six-pack, but he doesn't not have one either. It's just a sweet little stomach, the kind you would, well, if you were curled up in bed next to him and you wrapped your arm around him and rested your hand on his stomach when he landed there, you would just instantly feel glad to be alive in a world where there are men whose stomachs are so sweet and you can hold them in your bed. And Evan's screaming, oh my God, I can't wait to meet this bitch, even though he's not invited. And then time unfreezes. And Will remembers where he put his towel, which is where it's that he forgot one. And he turns and walks away, and I watch him go, dripping on the concrete surrounding the pool. And all I wanted in that moment was to trade places with the cement and soak up the water that had touched his body. I was jealous of cement. And you can see his ass. The materials of the wet bathing suit kind of clung to it, and his calves sort of expanded with each step as he pressed the weight of his body down and he walked off. There's more. So I got up. I pretended I had to go to the bathroom, and I followed him into the room. Well, not really a locker room, but it's a changing room. And he's opened his little cubby, but he's gone off to use the toilet. I can see his bare feet just going into the stall, so I have like 30 seconds tops. I pick up his t-shirt and I smell it. And oh. And he had these forest Converse sneakers. I'd never seen him wear them before, obviously. I'd only seen him in the office. But he wore them on the train up without socks, which is just, to me, is just so sexy. And I touched one of his sneakers and I looked in the tongue and it said size 12. And I don't know, there was just something about those size 12 forest green sneakers that I started to cry. I just thought, what if there was a world where I could wake up in the morning and see those size 12 green Converse sneakers lined up next to my bed? What if that was the first thing I saw in the morning when I woke up? And that's how I knew. I would turn my head and he'd still be asleep on the other side of my bed. But I'd forgotten he was there until I saw the sneakers. And then I heard him flush the toilet. I darted out of the bathroom, and when I went back to Kinky and Evan sitting on the grass, and I drank my drink and tried to pretend like everything was the same and the world hadn't just cracked open a little bit, and maybe maybe would never seal itself back up again. It's just, I know life is supposed to be this great mystery, but I actually think it's pretty simple. Find someone to go through it with. That's it. That's the secret. And so then that's the hardest part. Walking around, knowing what the point is, but not being able to live it. And not knowing how to get it, or if I even will.
I'm Henry Graham Murray, and I'm reading Vows for a Gay Wedding by Joseph Olegaspi. What was unforeseen is now a bird orbiting this field. What wasn't a possibility is present in our arms. It shall be, and it begins with you. Our oft misunderstood kind of love deems dangerous, how it frightens and confounds and enrages, how strange, unfamiliar. Our love carries all those and the contrary. It's almost incandescent. So, I vow to be brave. Clear a path through jungles of shame and doubt and fear. I'm done with silence. I proclaim. It shall be, and it sings from within. Truly we are enraptured with Whitmanesque urge and urgency. I vow to love in all seasons. When you're summer, I'm watermelon balled up in a sky-blue bowl. When I'm autumn, your foliage ablaze in New England. When in winter, I am the tender scarf of warm mercies. When in spring, you are the burgeoning buds. I vow to love you in all places, high plains, prairies, hills, and lowlands, in our dream-laden bed, cradled in the nest of your neck, deep in the plum. It shall be, and it flows with you. We'll leap over the waters and barbaric rooftops. You'll embrace my resilient metropolis. I adore your nourishing wilderness. I vow to love you in primal ways. I vow to love you in intimate forms, in our separateness and composites, to dust and stars and the ever after. Intrepid travellers, lovers and family, we have arrived. Look, the bird has come home to roost.
I'm Paul Uhler, and I'm doing sonnet number 20 by Shakespeare. I'm going to begin with that. A woman's face with nature's own hand painted hast thou, the master mistress of my passion. A woman's gentle heart, but not acquainted with shifting change as is false women's fashion. An eye more bright than theirs, less false in rolling, gilding the object whereupon it gazeth. A man in hue, all hues in his controlling, which steals men's eyes and women's souls amazeth. And for a woman wert thou first created, till nature, as she wrought thee, fell a-doting, and by addition me of thee defeated, by adding one thing to my purpose, nothing. But since she pricked thee out for women's pleasure. Mine be thy love, and thy love's use their treasure. The next piece I'd like to do is the lyrics from a song by the Kinks, Lola. I met her in a club down in old Soho where you drink champagne and it tastes just like cherry cola, C-O-L-A cola. She walked up to me and she asked me to dance. I asked her her name and in a dark brown voice she said Lola, L-O-L-A Lola, la 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 Lola. Well, I'm not the world's most physical guy, but when she squeezed me tight, she nearly broke my spine. Oh, my Lola, la 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 Lola. Well, I'm not dumb, but I can't understand why she walked like a woman but talked like a man. Oh, my Lola, la 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 Lola, la 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 Lola. Well, we drank champagne and danced all night under electric candlelight. She picked me up and set me on her knee and said, "Dear boy, won't you come home with me?" Well, I'm not the world's most passionate guy, but when I looked in her eyes, well, I almost fell for my Lola. La 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 Lola, la 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 Lola. I pushed her away. I walked to the door. I fell to the floor. I got down on my knees, and then I looked at her, and she at me. Well, that's the way that I want it to stay, and I always want it to be that way for my Lola. La 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 Lola. Girls will be boys, and boys will be girls. It's a mixed up, muddled up, shook up world, except for Lola. La 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 Lola. Well, I left home just a week before, and I'd never kissed a woman before. And Lola smiled and took me by the hand and said, "Dear boy, I'm gonna make you a man." Well, I'm not the world's most masculine man, but I know what I am, and I'm glad I'm a man, and so is Lola. La 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 Lola. La 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 Lola.
Hello, everybody. My name is Taylor Flanagan, and I'm going to be reading Act 2, Scene 2 of Romeo and Juliet with Heba Toulan, and we really hope that you enjoy it. One second. Okay, starting. I go forward when my heart is here. Soft. What light through yonder window breaks? It is the east, and Juliet is the sun. Oh, it is my lady. Oh, it is my love. Oh, that she knew she were. She speaks, yet she says nothing. What of that? Her eye discourses. I will answer it. I am too bold. 'Tis not to me she speaks. Two of the fairest stars in all the heavens, having some business, do entreat her eyes to twinkle in their spheres till they return. What if her eye were there? Her eye in heaven would through the airy region stream so bright that the birds would sing and think it were not night. See, perfection. See how she leans her cheek upon her hand? Oh, that I were a glove upon that hand, that I might touch that cheek. She speaks! Shall I see more, or shall I speak at this? blessed night! I am afeard being in night. All this is but a dream, too flattering sweet to be substantial. Love goes toward love as schoolboys from their books, but love from love toward school with heavy looks. Would I were asleep and peace so sweet to rest.
Hi, I'm Cece Gonzalez, and I'm going to be doing a monologue from Fun Home by Alison Bechtel and Lisa Krohn. Dear Al, big week at Fun Home. Couple of kids from Lock Haven wrapped their car around a tree, and I ended up working 2 18-hour shifts. Bad for my blood pressure. Anyway, that's why I've been out of touch for a bit. Oh, by the way, we got your letter. Well, kid, talk about a flair for the dramatic. As far as I see it, the good news is you're human. What does that mean? What else would I be? Your mother's pretty upset. Not surprising, I guess. But I'm of the opinion that everyone should experiment. Seriously? I can't say, though, that I see a value of putting a label on yourself. There have been a few times in my life when I thought about taking a stand, but I'm not a hero. Is that a cop-out? Maybe so. It's sometimes hard to tell what's really worth it. God, the tone is what I can't stand. It's so typical, so all-knowing. He has to be the expert. Lots of advice and wisdom on things he knows nothing about. I'm gay, which means I'm not like him, and I've never been like him, and he can't handle that. He still wants to be this Intellectual, broad-minded, liberal, bohemian. But he can't pull it off because he can't deal with me. And you know what? He never could. He never could.
Hello, my name is Jeff Dorman, and I will be doing a piece from the Vagina Monologues. I used to have these dreams. I mean, they're crazy dreams, dopey dreams. Burt Reynolds. I don't know why. The guy never did anything for me in life, but always in my dreams, it was Burt and I. Burt and I. Burt and I. We'd be out for dinner, one of those restaurants, you know, the kind you'd see in Atlantic City. Huge chandeliers, thousands of waiters with the vests on. There, Burt would be there. He'd give me an orchid corsage. I'd pin it to my blazer. We'd laugh. We were always laughing, Burt and I, laughing, eating shrimp cocktail, fabulous shrimp, huge shrimp. Then Burt would lean towards me, and just as he was about to kiss me, the entire restaurant would start to shake. Pigeons would fly out from underneath the table. I don't know what pigeons were doing there, but suddenly they just fly out and it would just pour out of me. Straight the flood, straight from down there. It would pour and pour. There'd be little boats inside it and little fish and the entire restaurant would fill up with my flood. And there would be Burt standing waist deep in it, looking horrified, horribly disappointed I'd done it again, as he watched his friends, Dean Martin and the likes, swim past us in their tuxedos and evening gowns. And I don't have those dreams anymore. No.
Hello, I'm Kealoha Petersen, and I will be reading 3 poems from Sappho of Lesbos. Unfortunately, only about 650 lines of probably about 10,000 lines that Sappho wrote survive to this day. The first poem I'll be reading is the only one that's considered complete. The other 2 are largely complete, but have gaps and missing words. And this is from the Thomas McKelvey translation. Ode to Aphrodite. Splendor throned, immortal Aphrodite, child of Zeus, while weaving, I beseech you, do not overwhelm with troubles and with sorrows, mistress my heart, but hither come, if ever at other time, hearing my voice from afar, you heeded, and leaving your father's house of gold you came, yoking your chariot, and fair swift sparrows drew you round the dark earth, fluttering fast their wings from heaven to mid-sky, and quickly were here, and you, O blessed one, smiling with your immortal countenance, ask what now I had suffered, and for what now I called you, and what most of all I longed for in my mad heart. Who now shall I persuade to come to your love? Who, O Sappho, is hurting you? For look, if now she flees, soon she will follow. And if she does not accept gifts, she will give them. And if she does not love, quickly she will love, even unwilling. Come to me now, too, and free me from harsh anxiety. And whatever my heart longs to have fulfilled for me, fulfill it, and be yourself my ally. Fragment 94. Really, I want to die. Weeping, she left me. She said many things, and this. Alas, what terrible things we have gone through. Sappho, truly, I leave you against my will. And I made her these replies. Farewell, go and remember me, for you know how we cared for you. But if you do not, I wish to remind you what tender and beautiful things we went through. For many wreaths of violets and of woven roses too, you put around yourself at my side, and many woven necklaces made of flowers cast about your soft neck, and with much rich and royal perfume elegantly you anointed, and upon a soft bed you satisfied desire of tender young girls. And there was no sacred hill, nor temple, nor stream of water, whence we were absent, no grove, the rattle of castanets. Fragment 96. At Sardis, many times turning her mind in this direction, since when we lived together, she held you like a manifest goddess and took joy most of all in your singing. Now she shines out among the Lydian wives like the rosy-fingered moon when the sun is set, outshining all the stars, and it sheds its light on the salt sea and the flowery fields alike. And the fair dew is poured out, and there bloom the roses and tender chervils and blossomy honey lotuses. And wandering far off, she yearns for gentle Athos, and her delicate breast is weighed down with desire, her heart with grief, and she cries out for us to come there. Things not unknown to us, the night, the sea, in between.
Was really, really cool. All right, everybody, turn your cameras on. Ladies and gentlemen, we hope you have an incredible / have had an incredible Pride Month. This was really, really cool. So coming up for Zoom Shakespeare, we will be going dark in July because we are bringing you 2 huge productions in August. One of them will be our first audio play, which is going to be Peter Pan and Wendy, starring Tyler Holmes. And I know, that was I know, Cece. Because when you think Peter Pan, like who in this city that I know could do it?
I'm just surprised he didn't tell me.
And coming at the end of August will be our biggest production yet, which is a collaboration with the Quarantine Queens, which is an all-female production of King Lear entitled Queen Lear, set in the beauty industry. That's also going to be very, very cool. So we hope you have an incredible night / rest of your Pride Month. Have a good night, everybody.
Good night.